Hello! It looks like I have 3 Lego sets in front of me right now, but I actually have 3 versions of the same set. It's the Lego Creator 3-in-1 Townhouse Toy Store. I want to call it Townhouse and Toy Store. I'm doing this video on behalf of, essentially sponsored by, Patreon supporter Wolfie. So big thanks to Wolfie. I will be showing you all 3 of these official variations of this set starting now. I'll start things off with this flower shop. If you can believe it, this is the C model, or the worst one of the bunch. Still looks pretty well finished to me. There are a number of different flowers on display outside, mostly potted, and you'll also find some additional ones inside. There's some texture built into the walls. The door has a handle, more texture above the door. There's a sign with a flower up above. I'm assuming that is intended to represent a long stem rose, although the little bit of green at the tip is questionable. I don't know, but I think it's a clever looking little build, and you immediately recognize that it's trying to say this is a flower shop. There's a sign over here, which does not actually have anything on it, but it is a suggestion. I think it looks pretty good. Down inside of there, you may notice a new window frame. It's a 3-stud wide window frame. That is new, and it's going to be very useful in the future. Here's a better example of one just by itself over on the side. And up top, there's more detail, a couple of brick-built birds, and also a large skylight, which is itself built sideways and lets plenty of actual light into the place when you look at the interior. Case in point, here's what it looks like without artificially pumping in an extra amount of light any more than my normal studio setup, which usually doesn't get good views without adding an additional light for spot highlighting of things in buildings like this. But if I take the roof off also, like I normally have to try to do, then it just becomes completely bright. So you see the difference. It's not that great of a difference. So that skylight is truly working. Little plants over there, some pots. You have this built-up cash register with a design that I don't think I've seen them officially do before. The desk is nice. It has some interesting shaping to it, using just the usual jumpers for drawers, but then they use the rounded 1x2 gray plates there for a slightly different texture around the side. You know, some samples. There's a vase in there, or an upside-down dome that I'm assuming would be holding onto it. An extra special plant. Not sure exactly what that would be, but a nice potted plant back there as well. And somebody's a fan of Lego, so they've got a Lego box up on the wall in addition to some additional tools and possibly an extra pot or vase or two and a little watering can that they use for their work. We'll spend some quality time looking at the figures when I get to the A model, but I wanted to show you how they configure the 2 figures with this particular build. This is the B model, or the middle of the range version, official version, in terms of complexity and number of parts used. And from looking through the main windows and at that sign, the 3D sign, again above the door here, you can probably immediately tell this is intended to be a pastry shop. And it's set up kind of cafe style where they have a couple of seats outside for some outdoor seating. People can really take some time to enjoy one of the treats that they order from inside. Nice little railing, little banister here, and a potted plant that looks very nice, looks very sophisticated and modern for a very small number of pieces. This has the corner entry with a corner door frame. I think that door frame piece has been around for about 2 years, maybe 3 years. I think it's 2 years. I forget exactly, but here we get it in tan, and it just fits in with the rest of the color scheme. They add a little bit more in the way of decoration around the roof for this one. You know, it's kind of a false roof just around the edges. It's flat on the top, but it looks nice. Again, you can see through the window there. And then off to the side here is like an additional studio space. So there's a planter out front. They've got the kind of old style of lamp that, long time ago would have been a gas lamp, but nowadays it's electric, of course. But this little studio space is somebody's Lego building space. So I'm assuming that the owner of the pastry shop is just a huge fan of Lego. They had some space they felt they didn't need to use when they set up the pastry shop, and decided to dedicate it to Lego building. So you've got the set that's on the table over there, ready to be built, old modular, couple just on the floor over here, just kind of overflow. We've got a truck that's built up on the corner or on the side, kind of looks like would have been that one of the Lego official trucks, like the Lego Inside Tour truck. I think they had a unique one for that. But then the main space over here has this fairly sizable and accessible fridge. I don't know what those things are up top, why they have green toppings on them. I don't like the idea of edible green stuff, artificially colored green. It's just weird to me. It's just awkward, unless it's for St. Patty's Day. And even then, I don't know. Eating green, I don't know about that. But you can pull those treats in there. I'm just going to knock them out because it's the easiest thing to do right now. But, oh, there we go. Perfect. It just slid out a little bit without falling all the way. So those are like sandwiches of some sort, almost like ice cream sandwiches. I don't know if they're actually frozen, but here again we have a cash register. Purple also. Purple icing frosting. I don't know about that. Better than green in my opinion, but still questionable. And of course the door opens over here like so. And if you did want to get more light in here, once again, they made the roof very easy to remove. Very simple, not attached with many actual studs there. So that just gives you mostly better access to pose figures in there if you like. There's not a lot of floor space, but I think it's a pretty good use of the space in terms of the amount of detail that's included in there. Over on this side, not so easy to take the roof off. It is possible, but they just don't have the same mostly tile sort of surface up there. And that's pretty much it for this space. Again, pretty good use of space, if you ask me. And it is definitely its own thing. It's not just a variation of the other two builds. And that brings us to the main build, the toy store and townhouse. It's toy store downstairs, townhouse upstairs. This uses all of the official pieces included in the set and offers up its own side build, which we will look at by itself. Here you get some awnings out front. You get the toy train as a representation for a 3D sign up above. Got a gumball machine off to the side. Toy soldier looks pretty proper. He's holding on to a flag. It's golden. It's waving. And just a small lamp off to the side here. And as you look upstairs, the townhouse even has a balcony. That's kind of deluxe for such a small space. Another light up there. Some more foliage that they brought in. Some slightly different designs of details to bring in some texture and shaping than they've used before. Some techniques that I haven't seen in a while with the inverted and regular slopes that are in gray used underneath some of this. Yet ledges on both sides, fairly symmetrical for this building. Another bird up there. Thought it was going to be a cardinal, but the crest isn't up in this case. I guess this one is very, very relaxed. A little bit of additional shaping around the roof itself. And the roof itself is flat, at least for the upper level. So again, just kind of false details around the edges for the sake of architectural interest. And looking inside, well, I mean, this is open enough that, again, you can see in there without removing anything, without taking the roof off. And that's okay, but it's better when you do take the roof off so you can get plenty of light in. So there's pretty much that same potted plant, just kind of reversed with the pot part of it. Compared to one of the earlier builds, the bedding has a color combination I don't think I've seen before for official Lego beds. And yeah, just a lamp there and another potted flowering plant. Well, that's it, So basically a place to lay your head and to relax and chill with some plants around you. It's a small space, so you really can't ask too much of the space. This is really just all about relaxation, as far as I can see it. Rest and relaxation. So then getting down to the lower level, again, before I even take the level above off, just the shape of this space does have, it has enough lights, it has enough window open space around its sides. You see, as soon as I block off some of that, it starts to get dark very quickly. But it has enough around there that there is some level of brightness in there. This one doesn't have the advantage of the skylight like that first build, but with all the windows around. I don't know. I think that's a good thing. It's nice to be able to see a well-lit space inside of a building. But taking the roof off just allows you to see in there. Oops, just a figure. See in there a little bit better. Once again, another different style for a cash register. Old again. They really like their classic cash registers. I wonder how prevalent they are throughout the world. In the US, you almost never see them. But Lego really likes to build them, and I don't mind that. So you got a toy train there. You got a toy plane there. Doesn't use the little whirly top hat propeller piece, dedicated propeller piece, instead using an ice skate for the propeller. Don't mind that. But it's a nice little build. And then this is the Lego shelf off to the side. And that's that. I think this one could have used just one additional thing on display up above. I think that would have added, made this feel a little bit more immersive, a little bit more full. But I am glad that there is enough space here that is left open and just blank, with studs on the surface at that, to let you put multiple figures in this place. So you can have your employee over here, and then maybe, the kid that's included in the set, plus another one that you add yourself. Maybe even a third, have somebody checking out over here, have the kid, and then a parent. So that's nice. I think it's important to have usable space for minifigs. Speaking of usable, this here goes above and beyond. This little coin-op ride is a scaled down version of the fan-submitted rocket ride that they did as a gift with purchase previously. And yet, I can put this kid in there. I just need to move his arms out of the way. I can put him in there. So he's standing up, right? He's riding the thing. And then with my finger on the other side, I can make this happen. Look how small this is. Look how little room there is for any mechanism, and yet you get all that motion. That's just fantastic. There's just a tiny little crank in there using the smallest, I think the smallest possible crank mechanism that you can do in Lego with legal building techniques. And, it's not going to fall apart or anything. They just have a little knob on the side that has just enough of it exposed where you just move your finger back and forth across it. And it just is, it's just a crank. And it works. It works really, really well. It's so simple, but it's just fantastic. In my personal opinion, it just works. And it's good. Sweet. I almost feel like the Lego designer is kind of flexing here, like, look what we're able to do with so little. Well, indeed, bravo. So here's that closer look at the two figures with just a different configuration than the first one that I showed. That torso on the left looks really cool. I like it. I don't know if that shirt is supposed to be white. If it is, it's way off. If it's supposed to be sand blue, then yeah, maybe it's a little bit bright, but it's cool. Either way, it doesn't bother me in this case, just because I think the whole thing looks good. But I don't know if it's as cool as the torso on the right, because that is an official Lego branded torso print, which means it can be a Lego employee, or it can be a super Lego fan, like it was when the torsos were swapped between these two. I'm so glad that the torsos can be swapped, because they're gender neutral, which just means that we can use these Lego pieces, as we should be able to. I don't know what the kid would be worried about in this case. It's not like he has a toy that can get lost or anything. It's not an animal that's running away. There's nothing to be scared of, unless he's scared of birds. There are a lot of brick-built birds throughout these sets, so maybe that's the option for that. Kind of a strange face though, with one side of the mouth open at a strange angle, with the other one it almost looks like he's two-faced. Like that looks like the beginning of a normal face, and then this looks different. I don't know. There's just something about the mouth that's a little bit awkward, but just more variety. If you don't like it, just leave it covered up. I do like both of the torsos, and the color combinations are cool. These are the spare or leftover parts from the A model, the main model, so these are not used for any of the builds, and I'm happy to see some special or special-ish things in there. By comparison, these are the parts left over from the, looks like it was the B model. I almost got them confused, but I can see just a couple parts that are distinguishable, but you have basically the same number of pieces, or a very similar number of pieces left over from the B and C models. Just a few major parts are distinct. Now, speaking of major parts that are distinct, this here 4x6 plate is distinctly discolored. This is my growing stack of parts from 2020 sets that are noticeably discolored. Now, it's a little bit difficult to tell just from looking at these by themselves. I mean, you do see some variation in here between these grays, but those are both wrong grays. If I bring in some proper light gray, actually the lighting isn't that bad right here. You should be able to see it. So this is a normal light gray, and this is just another example of this year's decrease in consistency of colors. Noticeable decrease. You know, slight variations occur, and they have occurred for many years, but slight variations have increased significantly in my view from going through hundreds of sets every year, and this is what I consider to be more of a significant variation that I just personally consider to be unacceptable. So I collect these. And now it's time to look at the price and the value. Well, this set here costs $40 US. For 554 pieces, that makes the price to part ratio really, really nice. Really, really nice. Then I look at the total amount of stuff here for the main build, just this right here. I'm like, $40 feels like a bit much for this, but it is really nice. What is here is really nice, and it does have a similar level of detail inside and out. A little bit better on the outside, which is kind of the ratio that I personally would prefer. It is 40 pounds as well, and that's a little bit more rough. And then it's 50 euro for some reason. That doesn't make sense at all. So no, 50 euro, I'm not okay with. $40 US, I can come around to. I would like this. At first glance, I would say 30, please. So I would allow 35 without complaining. And 40 feels like just a little bit of a stretch. But then you consider the number of parts. So I'm a little bit torn on that in terms of the value that you get here. But you do get additional value from being able to rebuild it into something. Again, this is the C model. This is really nice for not even a secondary, a tertiary model. I think I like this better, but I'm a little bit biased towards stuff with lots of plants. This is pretty good as well. I think I'm going to be pretty even between these because the fridge in this one is good, and the little specialized Lego building studio off to the side is good. Also, this exterior seating space is very nice. The roof on this one is probably the least interesting of the three. So there is some value, to being able to do some added value to being able to do two good alternate builds and still have parts left over. But you do have to keep in mind when looking at a screen like this that you only get this for one box. One box lets you build this, or this, or this, not all three. All that to say, again, I'm a little bit torn on value. I don't think it's too bad, but I do wish it was a little bit cheaper. But what a wonderful set, though. Every single build is just nice in almost every way. This little side build just really takes the cake completely with that mechanism in there. That's just over the top, just almost going too far with it to get that mechanism to fit just right. That's really, really good stuff. The figures are good, nicely chosen, I think. The little accessories are nice. The little potted plants have a lot of variety between them. Yeah, really good set. Glad that I was pushed to go ahead and review this, and not just one version at that, but all three versions. So thanks again to Wolfie from Patreon for that support. It has brought some additional joy to my life, to be sure. And each of these builds is actually fairly simple to put together. So it's not like these are advanced builds. They just use mostly fairly normal parts in good ways with good color combinations. I especially like this right here. This corner is really nice. And again, it's not fancy in how it's built. It just has charm. Also, these little bits up above, these little decorations in white and gray. It's simple, but it's good. The biggest new thing that we're seeing here for 2020 is this 3-stud wide, three brick high, so it's a 3x3x1 window frame, which also has a window pane within it. That's going to be extremely useful for reasonable sized custom stuff in the future, as well as, of course, more Lego official builds. So I am ecstatic about that. I feel like we need more and more sizes of windows. We used to have different styles, different sizes, especially smaller and medium-sized ones back in the 80s, and stuff has been discontinued over time. So even though this isn't that different, and they've had a 4-stud wide, and they've had a 2-stud wide, and they've had the shorter one, they've had the taller one, still I think that's a very valuable addition to the Lego parts inventory. Much more valuable than the big window that they brought out recently. Was it a 6x5? No, I think it's like a 6x6, isn't it? But a window frame, like a big old square window frame. Anyway, enjoyed this very much, and I think the value is almost there, just not quite. If you want to see the build for this, I only did a pure build, and I'm following up with a speed build. It might not be rendered by the time you're watching this video, but it will be fairly soon for the main build. The other two I just did on my own time while watching TV with my wife, just taking it easy, just to make things a little bit more efficient, allow me to still be doing work for you guys while also getting a little bit of rest for myself. But the build for this is up, and you can download if you want for free from the Lego website the instructions for either of these. Again, they're fairly simple, and you can probably build a lot of this stuff yourself with your own parts if you have a decent sized parts collection, except for the window frames. So you'll need to make some substitutions there. Thank you very much for watching this review. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks again to Wolfie. I'll talk to you again soon.